Have you ever stopped to think about what life is really like for men who live by themselves without a partner? Most people picture sadness or difficulty, but the reality is much more complex and often quite eye-opening. Today, we're going to explore 6 honest truths about men who choose or find themselves living this way. And you might be surprised to discover how much inner strength, freedom, and unexpected joy can emerge from being on your own. This isn't about feeling sorry for anyone. It's about revealing the full picture, the struggles, yes, but also the remarkable freedoms that come with this journey in the later years of life. Now, stick around, because by the time we get to that final truth, your entire perspective on this might change. It could even help you understand yourself better, or give you new insight into a friend or family member. So let's dive in. Truth number 1. Learning to stand on your own 2 feet. One of the biggest realities for men who live alone is how much they discover about their own capabilities. It begins with everyday tasks, making dinner, washing clothes, cleaning up after themselves. Some men, especially those from generations where these weren't considered their responsibility, might feel lost at first. But gradually they figure it out, and something powerful happens. There's a real sense of accomplishment in knowing you can manage your own life without depending on anyone else. That kind of confidence runs deep. Experts who study human behavior tell us that being able to take care of yourself is one of the foundations of feeling good, particularly as we get older. When you prove to yourself that you're capable of handling daily life, it builds something psychologists call resilience. Instead of feeling weak or helpless, many men discover a routine in their independence that actually makes them feel more secure in who they are. They get to know themselves better because they're not constantly adapting to what someone else wants or needs. Imagine someone like Frank, a 74-year-old man whose wife passed away several years back. In the beginning, he couldn't even make a grilled cheese sandwich without making a mess. But now he enjoys cooking his own meals, experimenting with different dishes, and sometimes having a friend or two over to share what he's made. Taking care of his home went from being overwhelming to becoming a source of pride and even creativity. And here's something worth noting. Being self-sufficient doesn't mean cutting yourself off from the world. Actually, men who live alone often become more thoughtful about how they connect with others. Since they're not relying on a partner for companionship, they learn to be more intentional about reaching out, calling friends, joining clubs, or spending quality time with family. The relationships shift from just being there by default to being something they actively choose and value, and that makes those connections feel more genuine. This truth about standing on your own is often misread. People see a man living by himself and assume he must be lonely. But many of these men are actually finding parts of themselves they never had the chance to develop before. It's not about what's missing, it's about what they're building from within. Truth number 2, a space that truly feels like his. Another real truth about men who live alone is how their home becomes a true reflection of who they are. Without needing to compromise or coordinate with someone else about how things should look or where things should go, a man's living space naturally takes on his own character. Some homes might be clean and minimal, others might be filled with hobbies, books, and mementos. Every detail, from the pictures he hangs to the chair he sits in each night, reveals something about his life and what matters to him. There's something liberating about this. Men who live alone aren't decorating to impress anyone. They're creating a space that feels right to them. They might keep things functional and simple, or they might finally invest in the comfort they always wanted but never made a priority. That old armchair in the corner might not win any design awards, but to the man who settles into it every evening, it represents comfort, familiarity, and home. Research shows that our surroundings have a real impact on how we feel about ourselves and our lives. A space that feels honest and personal can improve mood, lower stress, and even encourage better habits. Think about someone like James, a 69-year-old who spends his evenings surrounded by shelves of model trains he's been collecting since he was young. His place isn't fancy or modern, but it's filled with things that bring him joy and remind him of who he's always been. That space isn't about showing off. It's about feeling at peace. Some people might say a man's home without a woman feels unfinished or cold. But the truth is, it's just different. It shows his personality without filters. It's not about whether everything matches perfectly, it's about whether he feels comfortable, secure, and genuinely himself there. This kind of environment can actually be very healing, especially after years of sharing space where his preferences might have taken a back seat. If you're still with me and finding value in what we're talking about, please drop a comment with the number 2 so I know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss future videos. Your support really does help us keep making content that matters. Now, let's keep going. Truth number 3. A daily rhythm that's all his own. When a man lives by himself, his daily routine becomes completely his to control. There's no need to coordinate about meal times, no discussions about when to turn in for the night, and no negotiations about how to spend the weekend. Instead, his schedule flows according to his own needs, energy, and preferences. This might seem like a small thing, but it carries real significance. A life shaped by personal choice brings a sense of control and freedom that many older men deeply appreciate. Waking up when his body's ready, making coffee just the way he likes it, filling his day with whatever he feels like doing, these simple routines create stability and a strong sense of self. Research tells us that having a consistent routine supports mental health, especially as we age. A man who has complete say over how his day unfolds experiences a type of freedom that can lower stress and even contribute to living longer. He's no longer adjusting to someone else's timeline or preferences, and that freedom, as simple as it sounds, is genuinely valuable. Think about someone like George, a 70-year-old who spends his mornings working in a small garden behind his house. He says it keeps him connected to nature and gives him a sense of accomplishment as he watches things grow. Nobody's telling him he should be doing something else or questioning why he spends so much time out there. That routine, built entirely on his own terms, keeps him mentally sharp and emotionally satisfied. Of course, freedom can be a double-edged sword. Some men might slip into less healthy patterns, staying up too late, not eating well, or withdrawing too much. That's the flip side of having complete control. The responsibility falls entirely on them. But many find their balance because the routine itself becomes a source of comfort. By choosing how to live each day, they maintain their dignity and independence even in the smallest decisions. It's not just about what they're doing, it's about knowing they're the ones in charge. Truth number 4, a quiet that holds meaning. Living alone often means living with a lot of quiet. And while some people are afraid of that, many older men come to see it as something valuable. Silence isn't just the lack of sound, it's the presence of calm. Without someone else's voice constantly in the background, or a television playing shows they didn't choose, a man starts to hear his own thoughts more clearly. He might notice the sounds of nature outside, his own breathing, or the way the house settles at night. What once felt empty starts to feel peaceful and full of its own kind of richness. This kind of quiet can be deeply soothing. Experts who study stress and well-being point out that peaceful environments help lower blood pressure, reduce anxiety, and create space for deeper thinking. For an older man who's spent decades in noisy workplaces, busy family life, and constant demands from others, silence can feel like medicine. It gives him a chance to recharge and reconnect with parts of himself that got drowned out by the noise of everyday life. But silence isn't always easy. There are moments when it feels too heavy, when it starts to feel more like loneliness than peace. The difference comes down to how a man relates to it. Some fill the silence with music they love, others with reading, prayer, or just sitting and being present with their own thoughts. The important thing is that the silence belongs to them, and they can shape it into something that comforts rather than unsettles them. Consider someone like William, 67, who says his favourite time of day is early morning. He makes himself tea, sits by the window, and reads a few pages of a book while everything outside is still and quiet. For him, that silence isn't loneliness, it's a companion. It gives him room to think about his life, appreciate the present moment, and feel genuinely grateful for the peace around him. If you're still watching and getting something out of this, please comment the number 4 below. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next videos. Your engagement really helps us continue making meaningful content for you. Now, let's continue. Truth number 5, the gift of owning your own time. One of the most underappreciated truths about men living alone is how time itself takes on a different quality. Without someone else's schedule to coordinate with, a man has complete freedom to decide when to wake up, when to eat, and when to sleep. For some, this feels strange at first, almost disorienting. But over time, it becomes a quiet but profound form of liberty. Time becomes deeply personal. He can stay up late watching an old movie without worrying about disturbing anyone, or get up before dawn and take a walk while the world is still asleep. Meals can be quick and simple, or slow and thoughtful. Days can be carefully planned or allowed to unfold naturally without pressure. This freedom might sound trivial to someone who's never experienced it, but for a man who's spent decades living according to work schedules, family obligations, and other people's needs, it feels like getting his life back. Research shows that having control over your own time is strongly connected to happiness and well-being, especially in later life. It provides a sense of autonomy, a reminder that even as you get older, your life is still yours to direct. Some men even say this freedom makes them feel younger, as if a weight they've been carrying for years has finally been lifted. Take someone like Edward, 71, who says one of the best parts of living alone is realizing he doesn't have to follow a rigid routine anymore. If he wants to spend the whole afternoon reading in his favorite chair, he can. If he feels like taking a nap after lunch, there's nobody to judge him. This flexibility has given him a sense of ease and contentment he didn't know was possible. His days became less about meeting expectations and more about enjoying the simple pleasures of being alive. When a man lives alone, he learns that freedom with time isn't about wasting it, it's about savoring it. It's about finding joy in hours that used to be controlled by others and making peace with the idea that the best schedule is the one you create for yourself. Truth number 6, the strength that comes from being alone. The final truth about older men who live alone is how solitude itself becomes a teacher of resilience. At first, being alone might feel uncomfortable, even a little scary. But as time passes, many men find that the quiet teaches them patience, steadiness, and a deeper confidence in their ability to handle life independently. Resilience isn't just about surviving big crises. It shows up in the everyday moments of managing your own life. Fixing something that breaks without calling for help. Learning to use new technology when it feels confusing. Cooking yourself a decent meal when it would be easier to order food. Each of these small acts, while ordinary on the surface, builds quiet strength. Over time, a man starts to trust himself more. He realizes he doesn't need constant support or validation to get through the challenges that come his way. This kind of resilience also applies emotionally. When loneliness starts creeping in, he learns not to let it overwhelm him. He might pick up a book he's been meaning to read, call an old friend, or go for a walk to clear his head. These aren't dramatic solutions, but they work. They keep his spirit steady and remind him that being alone doesn't have to mean being miserable. Experts often describe resilience as the ability to bounce back, and for many men living alone, that ability becomes almost second nature. Consider someone like Arthur, 66, who worried retirement would leave him feeling empty and purposeless. When he first started living alone, his quiet house felt oppressive. But as he learned to take care of himself, from doing his own laundry to handling minor repairs, he felt something shift inside him. He says that every challenge he overcame added to his sense of capability, and that capability gave him something priceless, peace of mind. Resilience built in solitude is one of the most valuable things a man can develop. It transforms fear into confidence and silence into strength. It assures him that no matter what happens, he has what it takes to endure, adapt, and keep moving forward with dignity intact. If you're still here and this resonated with you, please comment number 6 below to let me know. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so now and turn on notifications so you catch all our upcoming videos. Your support means everything and helps us keep creating content that informs and uplifts. Now, let's wrap this up. Final thoughts. Living alone without a partner isn't the sad story many people assume it is. Yes, there are challenges, but there are also strengths, insights, and freedoms that often get overlooked. Each truth we've explored shows that being alone doesn't automatically mean being lonely. It can mean resilience, personal growth, and the opportunity to shape your life in a way that truly fits who you are. If you're a man living alone, here's what you should know. Your life isn't defined by what you don't have. It's defined by what you're building. You have the ability to take care of your health with intention, to keep your mind active and curious, to maintain meaningful friendships, and to explore the world on your own terms. You have the freedom to create a home that reflects your true self and to live each day exactly as you choose. These truths aren't just observations. They're affirmations of the strength and dignity that come with experience and age. Society often overlooks older men who live by themselves, but you're living proof that independence can be a source of real power. Every decision you make contributes to a life of meaning and self-respect. You're not just passing time, you're actively shaping your days, and that's something to be genuinely proud of. Thank you for being here with me today. I'd really love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing one thing you took away from this video and how you might apply it in your own life. Your thoughts matter to us, and reading your comments gives us so much encouragement and motivation to keep going. If this video helped you or made you think differently, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might benefit. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs and inspires. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.